Hey, good morning. Today I want to talk about something that's pretty important, especially with tax season coming to an end, and the year coming to an end pretty quickly as well. I know a lot of you guys have probably run into the objection of, well, I just typically pay cash for my equipment as opposed to financing, and that's what the topic of the day is. Wanted to just briefly kind of touch upon the client that thinks it's more beneficial to just simply pay cash for equipment as opposed to finance or lease a piece of equipment to avoid paying finance charges. So let's kind of take it from the beginning. I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of clients, and when you're trying to develop leads and source applications for equipment finance deals, one of the more popular objections is that the client typically prefers to pay cash, and that's great. That's awesome. But the funny thing is, a lot of times that client he thinks he's doing something that's better for his business when in essence he's actually using his money very poorly. There's also the client who will literally put off purchasing a piece of equipment to save the cash to purchase it, which is also terrible. And it comes down to one thing, right? Money is a tool in business. It's not anything other than that. If you look at money as a tool to get to a certain goal, then you may be able to change this client's outlook a little bit, right? So let's use a $50,000 piece of equipment as an example. And let's use the business owner that may have a cash stockpile of $50,000 in working capital in their bank account for the business right now, right? What could you do with that $50,000 cash? You could buy a piece of equipment for $50,000, right? Now the cash is gone. I'm not 100% positive what the ROI or the return on the investment of that piece of equipment is going to be. It all depends on the actual type of equipment that it is. But one thing I can tell you is that cash has a pretty definitive ROI, right? Most people, or most smart business people, will use their working capital for really two main reasons. That's payroll and expansion in employees, in business growth, but really more importantly, it's for marketing, right? You want to reserve as much of a cash pile as you can in working capital to spend on marketing. So let me just kind of give you a quick statistic, right? The average return on investment for $1 spent on marketing should be somewhere around $5. So it's a 5-to-1 ratio, your return on every dollar spent, right? So let's use this $50,000 as an example, right? You're gonna buy a piece of equipment that's definitely gonna better your business, absolutely. You own it outright, now it's just a depreciating asset. It's also a liability, right? Instead, you can finance that piece of equipment for $50,000 plus any finance charges, whatever you qualify for, and mitigate the cost of that equipment over 60 months. So you break the payments down over 60 months or 5 years, right? Get the equipment immediately, it starts to work for you, it's generating its own ROI, but guess what? The best part is you still have your $50,000 in working capital to spend on marketing. And if we're gonna use the national average of a 5-to-1 ratio of ROI for every dollar you spend on marketing, that means what, guys? $50,000 should translate to $250,000 per annum in additional revenue coming into your business. So really, when you get that objection, don't be afraid to use a simple example like this to try to overcome it. Any business owner that's smart is going to try to use every dollar they have to make the most. And the best way to do it is to not spend it on something such as equipment. It's to spend it on something such as marketing, which is going to have a pretty definitive return and finance your equipment. Now, the other example is going to be the person who's saving money to buy equipment. Starting a business is really tough, right? Let's just use a coffee house or a cafe as an example, right? Been in business maybe a year, really starting to gain a good following, become popular, starting to make some money, right? Usually these coffee houses are smaller spaces, limited tables, limited seating, counter space isn't too big either. So you're starting to get more popular and people are coming in more and more, and there's less room for people to sit and eat. There's less counter space to keep up with the volume, So as an employee, you go to your boss and you say, hey, listen, we really could use a reconfigured counter area, maybe a little bit longer and larger to accommodate more people and more of a timely manner. And honestly, people are coming in and the dining room is full. We only have 30 seats. We could really use 50. We're turning people away. You're losing money, right? So In the meantime, you say, okay, no problem. Let me start saving up some money to maybe purchase some furniture and fixtures for the dining room area, maybe reconfigure and change and purchase a larger counter and some more efficient software, some more efficient hardware to kind of move the process along, right? Probably take me about 6 months to save that money. Great, think about all the money you just lost in the 6 months that you were waiting to build up the cash bank to pay cash for this equipment, right? Crazy. Finance the equipment, let it pay for itself over 5 years or 60 months. Start to bring in the additional revenue immediately and not turn people away. It's a no-brainer. So really, guys, the main focus here is these are just 2 examples. There are numerous examples as to why you should finance your equipment as opposed to pay cash. And be blatantly honest with your customer. Yes, it's more expensive. There are finance charges involved, but off-weigh the benefit of maybe biting the bullet a little bit on the finance charges to make more somewhere else with your cash. That's really the point. Finance, finance, finance. Don't spend your working capital.